Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're doing episode number 17 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams into the best teams possible for my team unlimited and our competitive play based on how much MT you have, what your team is currently looking like, what your play style is, and things like that. Before we hop into this video, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 3,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day and would really appreciate your support if you haven't already, if you do subscribe. But yeah, without further ado, we do have a special guest for today's video. Huge shout out to my boy Evan Tanaka for coming on and doing this today. His channel's been growing really fast recently. He uploads great 2K content as well, and I'm excited to have him joining me today to give his thoughts on some of y'all's teams. What's up, Evan? Appreciate you coming on and doing this with me.
Yo, what's going on, people? Yeah, thank you for having JC on. Hopefully we can give you guys some good improvements for your squad and help you guys out as much as possible.
All right, yes sir. Well, again, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this. We will be doing a video over on Evan's channel sometime later this week or next weekend, something like that. So be on the lookout for that in the next few days. I will also leave a link to his channel in the description, so make sure y'all go drop him a sub on his channel and be on the lookout for the video like that over on his channel within the next several days, the next week or so for sure. So yeah, without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's hop right into it and start off with the first team for today. It comes in from my boy Hero. He's got about 100. I'm sorry, he's got around 90k, will have around 150k. He's on current and next gen, and Terry is untouchable. And honestly, looking at this team, I completely agree. Terry should be untouchable. He's one of the best cards in the game, and he goes for a very reasonable price. Then you got Penny, who I think is arguably the best point guard in the game. Rudy is great. Draymond is great. David Robinson is obviously, in my opinion, the best center in the game and one of the best sitters, no matter what you think in the game. Dame is solid. Clay, Jaylen Brown, and George Mike and I like. Scotty Barnes, I like the card. He's a great defender, but the thing is, at 6'7", he is just a tiny bit undersized at the power forward position. I know he's a really solid defender, but with his jump shot just not being the best, and you have it around 150 KMT, I think you could probably make an upgrade. Now, where you want to make that upgrade is kind of debatable. You could, for example, move a guy like Rudy Gay to the 3, or I'm sorry, from the 3 to the 4, move Draymond to the backup 4, and then pick up another guy for that small forward position, whether that's a guy like Kawhi Leonard or something like that. I think there's a couple of ways that you could go, but that probably would be the biggest upgrade, I think, and really the only significant upgrade to be made with a squad like this is replacing Scotty Barnes. What do you think he could do with his team for this one, Evan?
Yeah, honestly, I do agree with you, JC. I think Scotty Barnes is kind of the only position here I can see that I would improve with 100 KMT. I mean, it's a good amount, but you can't make, significant upgrades other than Scotty Barnes. So yeah, I kind of agree with JC on this one. I don't really got a different opinion. Damian Lillard, he's solid. I mean, there's not really any good budget point guards. You could look to get Wall. I think he's about 30,000 MT if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's kind of my only suggestion for this team.
And with quals being over, one thing I think you could probably pick up with around 150k, I think you'd be able to pick up a Kawhi. That's why I suggest Kawhi. There are cheaper budget options that you could go after if you wanted to. For example, like I said, move Rudy to the 4, move Draymond to the backup 4, and pick up a guy like Mike Miller. He's really reasonably priced. He's one of those new cards, really good shooter, moves well in the half court and the full court. He's got good badges, 6'8", so he's got good size for small forward position. That's like a more budget option that you could go with if you wanted to. So you kind of have a couple of different options there that I think you could go with if you wanted to upgrade the squad. And then like he said, Dame, not the best card in the world. Dame is definitely a solid point guard. You can still run him and have a ton of success with him in an unlimited setting, and even in a competitive setting. I think you could run Dame and still have success with him. But I think John Wall would probably be an upgrade just because he does have more size. He's going to be that better slasher, the better defender, and just I think maybe improve it slightly if you wanted to spend some MT in that area as well. But I don't think that's a necessity whatsoever. But yeah, solid squad to start off the video with. Second squad, what do you think, Evan?
Okay, so we got Gary Payne, so he definitely knows what he's doing. In Unlimited, I like that new DeMar DeRozan card. I think he's really solid. Again, another really good budget squad. To me, I'm not the biggest fan of Bill Russell. If you want to keep a cheap, you got 200 KMT, you're on current gen. You could go pick up a guy like D-Rob. It is spending most of your MT, but honestly, I like the last guy. There's only one position. I mean, Jonathan Isaac too, but for me, I would just replace Bill Russell and look to maybe George Mikan's even an option. You do have Evan Mobley, who's really solid. I'm pretty sure Wang ZZ is still a very viable center. I'm pretty sure a guy who qualified today on current gen, he was running Wang off the bench, so you definitely could look to pick up him. But I think Bill Russell, for me, is kind of the only upgrade I would make. Very solid squad. Yeah, very solid squad.
I kind of agree. I think Bill Russell is probably the odd man out in this type of squad. What I will say is the guy you didn't mention who I really like and was actually running in my God squad just up until a couple days ago is George Mikan. He's one of those centers who kind of, I feel like, is a bit of a do-it-all center. He can defend at a solid level. He's got good speed. He's got fundamental dribble style, which makes him one of the best like playmaking centers late in the shot clock of any center in the game. His jumper is solid. It's smooth, relatively quick, and solid enough to green. He gets every badge because he is a glitched card. Overall, he's just a really solid card. And I think he's the type of guy who you can pick up. You could probably even pick up a badged one for 30,000 MT or less at this point in the year. So you could probably sell Bill Russell, pick up a badged Mikan for, I don't know, 15, 20,000 MT more than you sell Russell for max. And that's close to an even swap. And I think that would be an upgrade for the squad. One other thing, as much as I like Jonathan Isaac, I'm actually going to recommend a really similar upgrade to that first team. And I think you could go Rudy Gay at the 4, Draymond at the backup 4, sell Isaac, and then move DeMar, for example, to the starting 3. And then you could pick up a guy like Mike Miller. And Mike Miller, I just think he's a great card. I did a gameplay on him yesterday. If y'all want to check that out, you can. And he's just a great all-around card. He's an elite shooter. He's got really good size, solid defender, great slasher because of that cryogenesis ability he has. I just think he's the type of card that you could use that overall I think would be an upgrade over your squad into Isaac. And I really do think Rudy Gay at the 4 is super good. So that's probably the only other thing I can see with this squad is potentially an upgrade over Jonathan Isaac. But to be fair, if you want to save your MT, because you are no money spent, if you wanted to save that MT, you could just go Mikan over Russell and pretty much keep the rest of your team the same because you do have a super solid squad already. Not like a necessity of an upgrade, I would say. So if that makes sense, that's just kind of my thoughts on the squad. But yeah, third squad today comes in from Adrian. He's got over 1 million MTs. He's got a lot of flexibility. Running AI, Dr. J, Oubre, Rudy Gay, DeMarcus, Mobley, Cliff Robinson, Carmelo, Marley, and Patrick Mills. So I like this squad. I mean, I like parts of this squad. AI is fine. I don't love AI. I think you might be better off picking up a guy like Penny Hardaway to start at the point guard position and moving AI to the bench. But I think if you do that, you have a really good solid point guard position. Dr. J and Marley is decent, not incredible. Kelly Oubre and Carmelo, same thing, decent, not incredible. I like Rudy and Cliff a lot, and I like DeMarcus and Evan Mobley a lot. So I think your front court is totally fine, doesn't need to be touched. But at that point guard position, I would definitely go Penny and Iverson as your 2 PGs, and I'll kind of let Evan give his thoughts on the shooting guard and small forward position for what he thinks he would change.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with JC on that one as well. I think Penny Hardaway instead of Patty Mills would be an upgrade if you want to play. If you want to start Penny, if you want to start AI, that's kind of up to you. Shooting guards, I am a massive fan of James Harden, the diamond card. I think he's a great card. He's only about 25, 30,000 MT. So if you're not the biggest fan of Julius Erving and Dan Marley, and maybe I would replace Julius Erving and keep Dan Marley. The small forward position, I mean, I still think AK is a really good card. Some people do say he's outdated, but if you do need a lockdown defender, for example, if you're running someone with AI, you might want to have, you know, an AK type player, a Scottie Barnes, a Scottie Pippen type player that can give you that versatile defense to help, you know, kind of hide AI in the corner. I do like your power forwards, Cliff Robinson and Rudy Gay. The only switch I might make is I would probably rather run Cliff Robinson at the 5 and Evan Mobley at the 4. That's me personally, though. That could be something you could, you know, think about for yourself. Demarcus Cousins, I'm personally not the biggest fan of as well. I would much rather a guy like D-Rob or even Akeem or that new Chris Bosh. But again, if you're a big fan of Demarcus Cousins, then he's, you know, viable for you to run.
I'll be completely honest. This is the first time I think that I've really disagreed with you about something. For one, I like DeMarcus Cousins a lot. I think he can run as your starting center totally fine. And you already locked in for him. So for me, for one thing, I think when you have the front court that you have, even if you do want to, I kind of do agree with him putting Cliff Robinson at the 5, Evan Mobley at the 4. I think if you run the front court the way it is currently, you're totally fine in my personal opinion. I don't think you need to spend more MT on a guy like D-Rob when you already have guys like Cousins, Cliff Robinson, and Mobley who you can run at the 5. What I will say, the other thing that I really do kind of disagree with is James Harden. Like, Harden is a decent card, but you have over 1 million MT. I think you could easily go pick up a guy like Klay Thompson, who you can get fully badged out for 70,000 MT right now, which is a super reasonable price for one of the best shooting guards in the game, a guy who can both be a primary scorer on offense and an elite knockdown defender on defense. I think you could go pick him up instead of Dr. J, and you are going to spend an extra 50K over what you might spend on a Harden, but you're getting a guy who is really still an elite level card in my team, and I don't think Harden is quite to that elite level, in my personal opinion. I know some people might disagree with me, but I'm a big fan of Klay, and I'm just not quite that big of a fan of a guy like Harden. Definitely a solid card, but Klay is the one I would go with. At the small forward position. What's up?
All right, I just want to say one thing about the shooting guard. like with Harden, I feel like it's all personal preference when it comes to me. And even a guy like Grussie, he would say Harden over any shooting guard in the game. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with the shooting guard position. I understand Clay is probably that better shooting guard for most people. So yeah, for you, I would probably run Clay, and then you could look to pick up Harden off the bench if you want to try him out. But Clay definitely is the better overall shooting guard. Just in my personal opinion, I have more success with James Harden.
Yeah, okay. I see what he's saying, and I mean, obviously, it's my team. It's called my team for a reason. You run the guys you want to run. If you're a big Dr. J fan, for example, run Dr. J. He's definitely a solid card. There's nothing wrong with him running him. But for me personally, Clay is the guy I would go with because of his very reasonable price tag and how good of a card he really is. Now, at the small forward, I like Carmelo, and I don't hate this Kelly Oubre card, but I don't think either of them are all that elite on current gen, especially because Carmelo can't shoot corner threes, and at the small forward, that's kind of an important shot to be able to shoot. And Kelly Oubre, his jumper is just kind of mediocre. I do like what he said about AK. I think AK could definitely be that backup small forward, but at the starting small forward, the guy that I would go with without question is Kawhi Leonard. I think he's the best defensive wing in the game. I think running him at the small forward is just that perfect slot to slide him in because he's got really nice size. He's an elite defender. He does everything that you need out of a small forward at a high level. He's got an elite jump shot as well. He can slash through him. He has Hall of Fame quick first step and a decent dribble style. Just overall, really, really good card. I think he's the guy that I'd plug in at that small forward position. And then the backup small forward, a guy like AK is a nice budget option. He's going to give you elite defense and elite catch and shoot ability as well. So definitely a solid squad. I like that we had some differing opinions on this team as well. All right, fourth squad. Let me know what you think about this one, Evan.
Okay, so first thing I kind of noticed right away is the defense on the starting lineup may be a little bit shocking. Not shocking. A little bit, not as a good defensive starting unit. You do have KG, and Rudy Gay is a solid defender. For me, I like to have a guy on the starting lineup that's like a lockdown. I know Dan Marley can be, but I haven't really seen him. That's my opinion on the starting lineup for defensive wise. I like AI, I like DeMar DeRozan, I like Rudy Gay, I like KG. Haven't seen Dan Marley, so I can't give my opinion on him yet. I'm pretty sure he has a good lockdown though. I honestly have not checked out his stats and badge yet, so I don't know what he's looking like. JC, is he a good defender?
He looks like a really solid defender from what I've seen. I'll admit I haven't used the card.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Badge, but I think he comes with, let me look. 2KDB, just easy asset to look, but I'm pretty sure he has Hoff clamps, Hoff ankle braces.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Hall of Fame badges. He is a sharpshooter, but actually, I think he's a better defender than he is shooter. Yeah, Hoff ankle braces, clamps, pick dodger. He's definitely a good defender. Jump shot wise, jump shot 7 is kind of mediocre. It's not the best jumper in the world, and that does kind of throw me off just a bit on using a guy like Marley. But he can definitely be that lock to answer that question.
Yeah, okay. So I was just wondering that. So yeah, definitely you're good then for offensive. So the only thing I see off the bench is I'm personally not the biggest fan of a guy like Kelly Oubre Jr. and Clint Capella. If you like insides, you definitely can run him, but you also have John Morant at the point guard position. So if you're going to do that, if you want to run Clint Capella in inside center, I would rather have AI with Clint Capella than have Clint Capella and John Morant, because John Morant, you kind of want to slash more. I don't think Clint Capella can shoot threes. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think he can. Evan Mobley, I like at the 4. He's solid. Jaylen Brown is a top tier card. Only position I would do is a backup small forward position. You do have 210 KMT. I agree with JC. I think Kawhi Leonard is an amazing small forward. Again, he would start over DeRozan, but I think you could slide DeRozan to the backup 3. And that's probably what I would do for the backup 3. And then for the center, like we were talking about, I think 2 teams ago, I think guys like George Mikan, even Wang's easy if you really want to go budget. But I think George Mikan, like JC said, is a really good center that a lot of people aren't really talking about. He still can get the job done on offense and on defense.
Totally agree, honestly. I don't disagree with anything he said. The one thing I will mention is I think you could even go a different route. And this is admittedly going to make your team a little bit smaller on that bench, but I think I 100% agree with Kawhi. I think Kawhi is legitimately one of the best cards in my team right now, and for his price is 100% worth it. So I think you pick him up, put him at the 3, slide DeRozan to the backup 3, and just forget about your small forward position for the next like 2 or 3 weeks at least, because those are 2 elite guys who are going to get the job done for you. What I would do at the power forward position is I would actually move this Mobley card to your center position. He's got enough size and defense where I think he can play that center, and he also has a really nice jumper, so he can stretch the floor at a high level. What I would actually probably plug in is a guy like Draymond Green, because I think Draymond gives you a little bit more defensive versatility and even offensive versatility over a guy like Micah, and I really think Mobley just does have the size and ability to be that quality defensive center. And for me personally, that's probably the direction I would go with a squad like this, is picking up a guy like Draymond Green to play that backup 4 and Mobley at the backup 5, just because I think that gives you a little bit more versatility, especially on the offensive end of the court. So that's just probably the way that I would look at it personally. If you like Mobley at the 4, again, like he said, like I said earlier, Mikan is a really, really good 5 guy who can really kind of do everything at least a solid level, and a guy who just for his price is a great value. So it's really kind of gives you a couple different options there, but definitely would say Kawhi is one huge upgrade that you could make for the squad. And then backup center, power forward, we gave you a couple different looks that you could go for in that section as well. Moving on to the second to last team for the video, comes in from Bot. He's got 1.4 mil. He is a no money spent player, likes Wang and Mike, and he wants a better bench center or power forward. And looking at this team, you don't even have a power forward off your bench, so that is definitely something that we're going to need to take advantage, or I'm sorry, look at. J Rich, so you definitely know what you're doing a bit, at least. AI is good, DeMar is great, Mike and I like a lot. You said you like Wang. Mike Miller's a really good card. Marley can play, Jaylen Brown can play. Like you have a lot of guys, but I think it's more important to rearrange those guys. One thing I would say, Mikan, again, like I've said, I like the card a lot. I think he's a lot better at the center position than he is at the power forward position. So the first thing I would do is move this Mikan card to the starting center position and Wang to your backup center. I think you do that immediately, take Drummond out of your lineup and make those 2 guys your center. And I think that just opens up the team a little bit to be a little bit more flexible and make some more moves. What I would next do is probably pick one of these 2 guys, Jason Richardson or Marley, and pick them and play them at the backup shooting guard position, and then start Mike Miller at the shooting guard, because I think Mike Miller gives you more versatility than those 2 guys do because of his ability to create on the offensive end of the court, and having that additional creator I think is huge, just in terms of making your team work better as a whole. So then you would have Mike Miller and one of those other guys as your shooting guards. DeMar and Jaylen Brown as your small forwards. AI and Lillard at point guard can be fine. You could pick up a Penny if you wanted to, not a necessity, but if you want to have that size of point guard, you could do that. But then at that point, the only position that needs work is the power forward position. You would need 2 power forwards, but Rudy Gay and Draymond Green, you could pick those 2 guys up, slot them right in. Not going to spend a ton of MT. You're still going to have 1.2 million MT even after you make a few upgrades like that. And I think your team would be a lot more well-rounded just with those few upgrades. I know I mentioned a lot of things in those few sentences, but I think if you make some of those upgrades, it's going to really improve the squad. What are you thinking, Evan?
Yeah, so I totally agree with the center position. I think, George Mikan or Wang ZZ could be your starting center, but then slide the other guy to the backup center. And like JC said, you're going to probably need 2 power forwards. Like he was talking about the shooting guards, you got to pick between like Mike Miller, Dan Marley, Jaylen Brown. Pick who you kind of want to run as your 2 and your 3 off the bench. For the power forward position, what I personally do is I agree with Rudy Gay, but the person I still think is really good is Dolph Schayes. I think he's a great pick and pop big, 6'8" power forward. I think he's a great rebounder. I think he's 95 offensive rebound, 94 defensive. I love him in the pick and pop, and I think he's all around great power forward. I'm pretty sure his price tag is only between like 40 to 50,000 MT the last time I checked. I think he's a lot of guys people did forget about, and he's very cheap. So that's a guy I'd look for power forward, but definitely agree with Rudy Gay and Draymond Green, but I'd maybe look at Dolph Schayes.
I totally agree with that. Dolph is a guy, like you said, he kind of has gotten forgotten about because he's been out for a while, but I overlooked him. I'll be completely honest. I think he's a better card than Draymond. I think he's got a better release, and I think as a pick and pop guy, as well as just as a defender on the interior and his ability to rebound, I really think he still is an elite card, a guy who you can run in a competitive level lineup. And because he isn't that much more expensive than Draymond, I kind of like that upgrade. Rudy Gay and Dolph as your power forwards instead of Rudy Gay and Draymond. I think I'm gonna have to go with Evan on that one. I think that would be the better way to go for that. And like I said earlier, I would maybe, just maybe, recommend picking up a guy like Penny Hardaway as well, because I think running AI at Dame as your point guards, I think that's opening up a door to potentially struggle a lot with guys who are running Magic, Penny, even guys like John Wall and Josh Giddey. You're opening a door to struggling with those types of guys because you don't have that size at the point guard position. That's just one other thing I would potentially look at, especially since you do have the amount of MT that you do. Final team today, I'm gonna let Evan lead us off for this one. Let me know what you think about Mr. Toddy's team.
Good old Toddy's team here. Okay, so we all know Toddy loves Luka, so can't get rid of Luka, even though, I mean, he's a good card, but he's obviously got a really good lineup. I think he did sell his team, so I don't think it's his actual team. But the starting lineup, honestly, I don't know about DeMar at the 4. I don't think I've ever seen someone, like, I know he just came out like 2 days ago. Maybe have to test it out if he's actually usable at the 4. So I'm not going to take him out of the lineup or take him out of the 4 spot just because I don't know how he plays there. But actually, no, we're going to do that. We're going to move DeMar to the backup 3. Jimmy Butler, that's a tough one because Jimmy and DeMar, they're very close in my opinion, but I personally would get rid of them.
Sell him.
Yeah, I would sell Jimmy. I would sell Jimmy, and I'd pick up DeMar for the backup 3. So then I think, honestly, Marcus Smart, I mean, you only have 15,000 MT, so I think you got to kind of keep Marcus Smart. So bench, you could go Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan. Other than that, I don't think is really usable. And you don't really have that much MT, so I'd recommend a guy like Jonathan Isaac. If you can somehow afford a Draymond Green I would go Draymond, but you're going to need 2 power forwards actually. So I would go Jonathan Isaac and maybe try to save up for a Draymond Green. I know you can get some MT pretty fast. Demarcus Cousins, like JC said, he likes him. I'm not the biggest fan, but you're already locked in. You don't got that much MT. I think Demarcus Cousins is fine, and then KG at the backup center is good. So for me, I think just move Oh wait, but you're selling Jimmy Butler. So if you sell Jimmy Butler, you should have the funds to pick up a guy like Draymond and Jonathan Isaac. So yeah, that's personally what I would do with Toddy's team.
Okay, now I agree with what he said. What I will say is, knowing Toddy, he's got more than 15,000 MT. Let's just put it that way. I'll let y'all figure that one out. But whether that's because he said he sold it to his team anyway, so he definitely has more than 15k MT one way or another. If he just has cards on auction house, I'm sure he has the MT. So for that reason, as much as I think Marcus Smart is a solid budget point guard, I think we kind of have reached the point in the year where he's just not quite as usable as he may have been a month ago when he first came out. Not a bad card per se, but again, I know I recommend this guy for a lot of teams, but I love Penny Hardaway and I love his price tag as well. The fact you can get him for 60k MT, even a badged out version for around that price range, is just to me that's an instant cop. A guy who I think can be in the argument, and in my personal opinion is still the best point guard in the game. Especially, I just think with his size and everything he gives you for 60k MT, he's just the guy to get. So that's probably one thing I would do is replace Marcus Smart with Penny. And then, like you said, the power forward position, Draymond Green, Jonathan Isaac. If you do want to go more expensive, you go, for example, Rudy Gay, Dolph Schayes, kind of like we recommended for that last team. And moving DeMar to the backup 3, I think is 100% a necessity. As much as I like DeMar, I think he's a great card. I don't think he has the defensive ability on the interior to be at the power forward position. I think he's going to struggle in terms of rebounding, going to struggle in terms of defense, and he's just not going to give you that mashing ability at the 4 sometimes that you kind of want out of players at times, just especially late in shot clocks. Because, I mean, when you look at a guy like DeMar DeRozan matched up against potentially a Giannis or a LeBron or even a Rudy or a Dolph, he's just going to struggle. So yeah, definitely move into the 3, pick up guys like Rudy, Draymond, Dolph, Jonathan Isaac, some combination of those types of guys, and then Penny at the backup point guard. Your team's definitely gonna be looking super solid. So that is about it. That does wrap up the video. If we did not get to your team today, make sure you do follow me on Twitter. My link is always down in the description below, and be on the lookout for a tweet about this series every Friday or Saturday. So make sure you drop your team under there, and I'll try to get to some new people for the next episode. Again, huge shout out to my boy Evan for coming on and doing this video with me. If y'all did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and also go subscribe to Evan's channel, please, if y'all haven't already. Like I said, great content creator, up and coming, great player as well. So make sure y'all go show his channel some love and be on the lookout for a video over on his channel. We're going to be doing something similar to this over on his channel as well. So yeah, that is going to do it for this video. If you have anything else to say, Evan, now's the time. Let me know.
I just want to give a massive shout out to JC for letting me come on to his channel. Really appreciate the support, his content a lot. He makes great videos for you guys, and I hope today's video did help some of your guys' teams. And even if you watched the video and your team wasn't, we didn't feature your team, you can definitely learn from what we said, and maybe you guys have some similar, not mistakes, but some similar adjustments you can make to your team, and some similar guys you guys can pick up. But yeah, just want to give a massive shout out for JC letting me come on his channel and doing a video with him.
Yes, sir. All right. Like I said, go show Evan some love. Sub to his channel. Make sure you do that. And again, I appreciate all y'all for watching my content always, and I appreciate y'all watching this video. Yeah, but that is going to do it for this video. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.